Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. Corey and Chad here introducing a new company to all of you, Stallion Uranium, traded on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol STUD, on the OTCQB under the symbol STLNF, and on the Frankfurt Exchange under the symbol HM40. We are chatting with Drew Zimmerman, CEO of Stallion Uranium. Now, Stallion Uranium focused in the Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan, more of a focus in the western part of the basin. The company is one of the largest landholders of prospective uranium land throughout the Athabasca Basin. We're going to touch on a couple projects that the company is continuing to move forward, as well as an initial drill program that is about to get underway. Now, Drew, let's start off with the overall focus here of Stallion Uranium on the western part of the Athabasca Basin. A lot of the major discoveries that people know about within the basin have come on the eastern side. What's drawn you and the company to focus on this western portion?
Absolutely. First, thanks for having me on, Corey. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. The focus on the southwestern part of the Athabasca Basin is because that's what we believe holds significant potential. It has been vastly underexplored when compared to the eastern side of the basin that has the operating mines and the known deposits that were there. And when the big deposits were found in the southwest, that's Triple R and NextGen's Arrow, that was 2012 and 2014, not a time in the uranium market when further exploration was going to be done. Uranium prices were moving lower after Fukushima in 2011. So we think the exploration boom that should have come to the western side of the Athabasca Basin after those, world-renowned discoveries were made didn't happen, but it's just been delayed. So our view is the southwest side of the Athabasca Basin is very much sort of at the stage where the eastern side of the Athabasca Basin was in the late 70s to early 80s. The large discoveries have been made along the edge of the Athabasca Basin, but the potential to find the next significant deposits that are in 300 to 1,000 meters of sandstone cover are there. So that's where Stallion has built out our land package. That is where Cigar Lake, MacArthur River, Griffin, Phoenix, and Millennium, all on the eastern side of the basin, reside in that 300 to 1,000 meter depth target zone. And we think the potential for those discovery types to be made in the southwest Athabasca Basin is there. And that's what we've really focused all of our efforts on.
All right, Drew, I appreciate you breaking down the focus in the western Athabasca Basin. And yeah, that is where the excitement has been building the last few years for discoveries. You have a number of projects, but it seems like the flagship, at least for now, as far as the project that's going to get the most work, is the Coffer Project. Walk us through some of the targets here and what work will be going on the Coffer Project in 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was our strategy to start big with regional surveys. So we did that at the beginning of 2023 with the VTEM survey that focused us in on several key targets. And on the Coffer Project, a target that really got our attention was one that we've named the Appaloosa. It's right at the north end of the Coffer property. It's about 13 kilometers straight east of the Shea Creek deposit. So again, known incredible endowment of uranium right nearby. So that led us to do a SQUID time domain survey. That's an on-the-ground focus survey. So again, our strategy, starting big with the helicopter airborne surveys, and then once you have key target areas that are going to cover a much smaller area of ground, you get on the ground and do that higher resolution, more advanced survey. The results of that survey continued to, point us in the right direction, that we're doing the right things and focusing in on the right area. So we've sort of got the boxes that you want to have checked for uranium mineralization or potential uranium mineralization with a discrete conductor. It's got gravity lows. It's got magnetic lows showing that there's alteration in that basement rock. And we even have one of the targets that we like is a bit of a bifurcation of that conductor. So where it actually splits into two showing us that there could be significant potential for mineralization in that area. So with that, we've been advancing towards drilling. We've announced the mobilization of crews as they're starting to get ready. They're building the camp area. They're building the trails to get the drill in there. And over the next coming several days and week, the drill will be moved in, and we'll get ready to have the drill start turning on a 3,300 meter drill program that will cover 3 drill holes. So incredibly excited to be moving to an advanced stage of exploration and the stage where you can make a potential discovery, which is incredibly exciting for the company.
Yeah, this is a big deal for the company because this is, well, one of your first cracks at a discovery in this western Athabasca area. You mentioned 3,300 meters spread over 3 holes. You're looking for a big target here. What's going to be the spacing of these holes then, since this is, as the presentation outlines, about a 6-kilometer long EM conductor?
Yeah, it is a long conductor. We've, honed in on a certain area of it. We're still actually in the process of finalizing our plate modeling from our squid survey. Again, we've been, moving very rapidly all the way through, the initial surveys that we've done to the ground survey and now into mobilization. So there's, multiple pieces of the puzzle coming together at the same time. So the exact pads and where the drills are going are still just being finalized right now as the trails into the drill site are being set up. But we haven't fully finished exactly how far apart they're going to be. We know the area that we want to be testing, but haven't fully decided on where the holes will go. And again, even from the first hole to the third hole, given that each hole will take a couple of weeks, we'll be able to use the data that we get from the first hole to inform the other holes and most importantly, even the last hole. But again, it's going to be a lot of new information coming to the company. Again, there hasn't been a single drill hole across our project. So, this is an incredibly exciting time because you can make a discovery, but it's also a time where we're going to get an incredible amount of data on these projects just because, again, it's the first time that we're moving into drilling and being able to have the geological data that comes with that.
Well, Drew, it is an exciting time for the company, and we'll definitely be following up with you to see how those holes go, those first 3 holes. And I guess they're going to be pretty deep because you want to get down to that sandstorm unconformity and test the limits there. There are some other projects you have, though, in this area, and there's too many to get into all of them, but there's another project that you've done some gravity survey work on, and that's the Gunter Lake project. Could you just speak to us about this other project area in the western Athabasca that your team has their sights set on?
Yeah, absolutely. Our Gunter Lake project is another key project, 100% owned of the company, where we've identified the Coyote target. Again, that was from our regional VTEM survey conducted at the beginning of 2023. We think it's a highly prospective target as well, much shallower area of the basin. And I do get the questions, why are we not drilling that one first if it's shallower? And it is because we are being very pragmatic with the data as it comes in. We want to have the highest probability and highest potential of hitting uranium mineralization, and the Appaloosa target gave us that. But that being said, the Coyote target is incredibly compelling as well. So we are advancing it. We've announced and are flying a gravity survey over the Gunter Lake project to help focus in on that target area, and we'll decide if it requires a ground survey or if, with the data that we have from the VTEM and gravity survey, we were able to distinguish drill targets just from that alone. So incredibly exciting to be able to, one, be drill testing a target, but have at this stage at least one additional target moving towards drill readiness as well.
All right, let's talk about another project, a JV actually with Atha Energy. Now, Stallion has the option to acquire a 70% interest in this project. A couple different stages of work payments. The first, $3.3 million to be spent within 12 months. This has already been spent after that JV was signed back in September. Drew, take us through what the plans are at this JV project with Atha Energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was an incredible opportunity to partner with another large explorer in the Athabasca Basin, Atha Energy. They are exploring at size throughout the basin, but they had a key project package in the Southwest Basin that was able to connect some of our existing 100% owned projects all into what became the single largest exploration project in the Southwest Basin that we now control and operate. So the ability to explore at scale was what was so exciting about bringing in this project, being able to find, what we think are the best new target areas from a package that has not been effectively explored. And again, that's been our strategy from the beginning, because it's our belief that if this project package was on the east side of the basin, it would have hundreds of drill holes in it. Our project hasn't even had an effective aerial survey done over it. So as we announced last year, we've launched a mobile MT survey that will cover all 2,200 square kilometers. So again, this is an incredibly large joint venture project, but that survey will be giving us the new prospective target areas to be going after. And it's our belief that when you're running an effective survey area over this joint venture survey or ground and our 100% owned ground, the odds of having a significant uranium deposit under that ground are incredibly high. And by taking the technology and surveys that are available today and utilizing them to hone in on the best target areas and then advance them towards drill testing, is the most systematic way to go through this process to increase the probability of finding those next big deposits. So we're incredibly excited to have this large land package in joint venture, or the option to joint venture with Atha Energy, and we will have some news coming out that shows the results of that survey, the completion of that survey. So that's going to be a pretty exciting step for Stallion, as again, this is a completely uncovered, sort of untested area of the basin, and advancing it in a pretty significant way. And again, just can't say enough of how big the scale of this project is at 2,200 square kilometers, and the potential projects or target areas we think that will yield for us. So very excited to have it tie into our 100% owned projects, but also the merits of what will come from the survey itself will be incredibly exciting for us.
Well, Drew, it is a very exciting land package overall, and there's even a lot of projects we just don't have time to get into today that the company has in their stable. But I think this would be a good spot to also talk about the team behind Stallion. I had a great conversation with your president and VP of Exploration, Bill Breen, at the VRIC, and one of the biggest takeaways I had was just how solid some of the people on your team and technical advisors and board of directors are. Maybe unpack that for investors here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a company is always as good as its people, and we really do have significant talent on this team. Bill Breen, as you mentioned, I mean, we have two great gold assets where Bill really shines down in Idaho and Nevada that would take some extra time to get into. We brought on Darren Slagowski. He's out of Saskatchewan, 10 years experience in the Athabasca Basin, and focused in the Southwest when he was working with Pure Point on the Spitfire deposit. So, knowing the geology and the mineralization in the Southwest, where we're focused incredibly well. We were able to bring on Matt Schwab, was employee number 3 at NextGen Energy, as a technical advisor to work with Darren and be able to hone in and focus in on the best potential target areas to find that next big discovery. And having somebody on the team that found or helped find the Arrow deposit with NextGen is a significant value add. And then when it comes to our other advisor, Stephen Stanley, was the president and CEO of Hathor Exploration, which over a decade ago was able to discover the Rough Rider deposit and drill that out and turn it into a resource that was sold to Rio Tinto for $650 million. So we've got, incredible people on our team. We also have, Jay Martin on our board. As you mentioned, you were at VRIC. Obviously, the Rolodex that Jay has from putting on one of the best resource shows in Canada is an incredible asset to our team. And then we also have, key shareholders that, along with Stephen Stanley, had put together Hathor Exploration, our big shareholders of NextGen Energy. Those 3 gentlemen hold close to 30% of Stallion. So you've got a bedrock of, long-term shareholders that are looking for Stallion to become that next Hathor, that next gen. And for us as a company, that gives us, incredible stability and the view of how do we create the most value in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, not what's going to work for the next quarter. And that's allowed us to, step into the basin in such a big way, build out the land package that we have, that we think gives us that potential and that probability of finding that next significant deposit.
And now you're at a big stage where you are drilling. Let's talk about cash in the bank. The company closed a financing on February 8th for just under 3.9 million. The stock is really sold off since that financing was closed, but you have the cash in the bank now to move forward with the drill program. So take us through what balance you have in the bank account and what the budget will be for this 3,300 meter drill program.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's incredibly exciting anytime you get to have drills turning. So the financing that we completed at the beginning of this month allowed us to do that. We came into that financing with about $1 million in the bank. So bringing in 3.88, gave us the ability to fully finance a $2 million drill program. We do have sort of contingency of 10% on either side of that $2 million mark because of the interesting winter it's been. I don't want to get into too many of the details, but just the lack of snow and cold throughout this winter. We may need more helicopter support for part of the program, which can definitely change the budget. But again, like I said, 2 million plus or minus 10% is our budget to get that done. That also leaves us with over $1 million of other exploration dollars that we have sort of lined up for the coming months. The gravity survey over Gunter, one of those. So our whole key will be to not only drill test the Appaloosa target, what we think is a very compelling target right now, but to also be able to bring up another target or two to drill readiness, so that we've got more on the table, more coming down the pipe as far as the potential for that big discovery success. So in a good position to be able to do a fair bit of exploration work. The Atha joint venture survey that we'll have wrapping up, and we're talking terabytes of data coming in from that. So being able to process that over the coming months and be able to come up with the best potential target areas that are prioritized for moving forward. So we've got a lot of work in front of us, including our maiden drill program over the next 6 months, but it's all incredibly exciting work that we think creates a lot of value on our land package and should create a lot of value for our shareholders, especially with any success of the drill bit. But the way that we've gone about our exploration plan is to not be based on drilling success. A maiden drill program always has its risks. I mean, we are very hopeful that we encounter the uranium mineralization that we think could be there. But we're also setting out the stage with other work that we're doing to continue to advance our projects and have that discovery potential without success at that Coffer drill program. But again, it's a pretty exciting time of the company. We've done a lot of work over the last 14 months since we brought these projects in that have been sort of accumulating now to this sort of advanced level of work that we're able to do now. And it's a very, very exciting time for us, but lots of work on the table, that's for sure.
All right, Drew, I think that brings us up to speed on Stallion Uranium. If anybody has any follow-up questions, please email us. I will also post a link to the company's corporate presentation below this interview so you all can read over some more details on the projects as well as some of the other projects the company holds. Drew, thank you for your time, and please keep us up to speed, especially on the drill program and any other news coming out of the company.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the introduction to your audience. If you go up to our website, StallionUranium.com, you can sign up to get our news directly to your inbox so you don't miss it, and you can keep up to date with everything that we're doing. Also, pretty active on Twitter, making sure that people are able to see what we're doing there. We'll even post some photos and videos as well. So some great content of the work that the company's been doing.